This is the Ask BP podcast, episode 1.
You're listening to another BiggerPockets Ask BP podcast, where you'll hear short, direct answers to your biggest real estate questions. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forums by using hashtag AskBP. And don't forget to pick up your copy of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing and other great content when you sign up for your free account at BiggerPockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the... What?
What? This
Wait,
is
what?
weird. This is weird.
This is weird. This is not the BiggerPockets podcast.
This is not the BiggerPockets podcast. This
What?
is something weird and new.
Something new.
Something new.
This is the brand new Ask BP podcast. The Ask BP podcast. Wait a second. What are we doing here? Well, we've got this other podcast called the BiggerPockets podcast. You know, Brandon and I started the show about 2.5 years ago almost.
Yeah.
And, the idea was let's just kind of create this show that we can interview folks. We can really dig in deep on topics and you guys can listen, learn. And frankly, we didn't really expect people to get too excited about it.
I remember back when we started, I told you, I was like, you know what my goal is for the whole year is to get in the top 20. I think it was like top 20 I wanted to be in for business. And like week 1, we hit like number 6 for business and consistently have stayed in the top 10 or top 15 or whatever of the biggest business podcasts on planet Earth, which has been incredible.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we had very low, I think we really did have low expectations and fast forward to today, 5 million plus downloads. The show's listened to on an average of 50,000 times per episode. It's 50,000 times. I mean, that's a small stadium right there, man.
Yep. Larger than the average American baseball stadium.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So, well, and they're also a lot longer. I mean, people are listening to this. This is your first time hearing about BiggerPockets. You don't know what this is. You just saw it in iTunes. This is going to be a totally different show than what you're used to, or than what other people are used to. This is something totally different. We're going to be doing short.
Yep. The
other one's like 75-minute length average. These are short, 5-10 minutes long, direct answers to your questions. So if you want to know something, we're going to answer it, 1 episode per question. And we're just going to dive in for a few minutes and give you some good advice on real estate.
Awesome. Yeah. And the goal of this podcast is to give you actionable, real life, interactive advice on your journey to become successful real estate investors. But in order for this to work, you guys have to participate. This is not a one-way thing. This is actually going to be a two-way street. So this is the Ask BP podcast. And as you heard in the introduction, if you want us to actually answer your questions, just use the hashtag AskBP, that's ASKBP, either on Facebook, Twitter, or on the BiggerPockets forums. That is Twitter, apparently.
Kind of like Cool Whip.
Cool Whip and Twitter. So you'll post using the AskBP hashtag on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forums.
For example, somebody recently wrote, because I told people I was going to do this, they put in the forums, they said, should I get my real estate license? They went to biggerpockets.com/forums, created a topic, said, should I get my real estate license? And then they wrote at the end of it, hashtag AskBP, like one word, hashtag AskBP. And
you don't actually write hashtag if you
No, you put the
it's a pound
sign. Come on, Web 2.0 people. All right, they wrote that in there. I have a keyword alert on BiggerPockets set up so that it alerts me every time somebody says hashtag AskBP on the forums, and we'll see it. We'll add it into the list and hopefully get to your questions. So do it. Yeah.
Awesome. Also, we're going to be posting on both YouTube and iTunes. So if you'd rather watch us at work instead of listening in the car, you can do that. Just check it out at youtube.com/BiggerPockets, and you'll see the channel there. And it's going to be the Ask BP channel on BiggerPockets, which will be great. And now for those of you guys who don't know what BiggerPockets is, obviously...
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. Really? If you don't know who we are, we're failing at our job. As Grant Cardone said.
Yes. I'm a failure, and I apologize to you for you not knowing who I am.
Yes, it is our fault. It is our fault. It is our fault. All right, guys. So BiggerPockets, we are the world's largest real estate investing social network, marketplace, and information hub. In other words, we're doing everything in our power to create a nation of successful real estate investors. We are here to help you be successful. People who want to build wealth and achieve financial freedom through the power of real estate, that's who this is directed to. That's who Bigger Pockets is directed to. That's who the Bigger Pockets podcast is directed
Yeah.
to you.
I will say this too. It's not just for people that are brand new. It's not just for people who are super experienced. It's for everybody. We cover the entire, we put the cookies on the bottom shelf and on the top shelf and everywhere in between. So we got a whole.
I like cookies.
Yeah, I like cookies too. Chocolate chip cookies. If anybody wants to send me some chocolate chip cookies, my address is.
Oh, if you want to send us chocolate chip cookies, you could send it to.
Wait, I'm not in Denver. I can't, and I don't get them. People send you stuff occasionally. They're like, "Here, this is for you and Brandon," and then I'm like watching you eat the cookies. Yeah, it'll go bad. So I'm out here in Washington.
Thank you to everybody who sends stuff to Brandon at the office address. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. So here's the deal. Really quickly, I'm going to tell you about who I am, and Brandon will tell you who he is, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up. So I am Josh Dorkin. I am
Hi, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Dorkin, and I have a problem. I am a real estate investor. I am somebody who was teaching high school, looking for a way to build wealth, and I fell upon real estate, and just jumped in and thought, hey, I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to do this, and so little did I know that real estate was a little more complicated than just jumping in and throwing money at a piece of property, and I found that I made lots of mistakes and lots of things happen, drama. You read all about it on biggerpockets.com and listen to our shows. You'll learn more about it. But at the end of the day, my misfortune was your fortune, because I set out to create a place to democratize the real estate space. I thought that it was time for the domination of information for real estate investors to end, from the gurus, the folks who are selling information for lots and lots of money. And, I wasn't into that. So I said, let me create a place where I can get answers to my own questions. And that was the birth of Bigger Pockets. 10 plus years later, millions and millions and tens of millions of people later, Bigger Pockets is helping countless folks become successful with real estate, and hopefully avoiding all the mistakes that I made early on and mistakes Brandon makes on a regular basis and everyone else, all of us make. We all make mistakes, and the goal of our site is not just to help you find those answers, but to network, to do business, to connect, and really to become successful. So that's me. That's Bigger Pockets. Check it out at biggerpockets.com. Brandon, tell us about yourself.
That was longer than 30 seconds.
You know what?
You're fired.
I have the privilege as long as I want.
All right, so let me tell you the story. So I got into real estate when I was 20 years old. I'm currently 29. Well, I was 21, I think. I bought my first house, fixed it up, sold it, and in the process, I fell in love with real estate. Up until that point, I wanted to get... I fell in love with it. I wanted to go to law school. Well, my parents wanted me to go to law school before that. And so that was just the path I was going to go down. I went to college and started studying for the LSAT, took the LSAT, started applying to law schools. And then
Did you pass the LSAT, by the way?
I did, and I did well on it.
Oh, okay.
I did. But however, I didn't. So my theory with law school was if you don't get into a top one school or top 3 school or whatever, I would just be 80 hours a week at, $60,000 a year for the next, 30, 40 years. And maybe I'd see my kids once or twice if I had kids. So I decided instead real estate sounded a lot more fun. So I thought I'd buy rental properties, fix up, houses, do whatever I could in the real estate space. And my parents told me I was crazy and that I was going to lose everything if I tried to do that. And, what happens if your tenants don't pay rent, huh? What are you going to do then? And yeah, that's the typical stuff, right? You don't want to change toilets and fix toilets or whatever, Anyway, so I went online and I remember typing in what to do when tenants don't pay rent. And I came across this little tiny site that was called Bigger Pockets. And I learned that there were actually people doing this stuff every day that didn't, they didn't have these questions. I mean, they figured these things out. It wasn't like those were questions that had no answer. These were questions that had answers and that people knew the answer to, or could at least offer advice and say, well, this is what I did. This is what, I did. And pretty much every objection somebody has on why real estate doesn't work, you can find hundreds or thousands or millions of people who have figured out the answers to them. And that's kind of what the Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast is all about, is sharing the answers that I've learned and that Josh has learned and that the entire community has learned, and helping you guys. So anyway, since then, I've just been building up my portfolio and always looking for more fun stuff to invest in. So
yeah,
kind of obsessed.
pretty good co-host /
Thank you.
host.
Thank you. Yeah. We're officially what? You're the host and I'm the co-host technically of the Bigger Pockets podcast. But I think people will probably hear me more often on this one than you.
Probably. So we are both
you're
hosts.
Up like we are both hosts.
Of the Bigger Pockets podcast.
You're being all like CEO-y and all the cool stuff.
Fancy.
Yeah. Well, I have to like slave in the dungeon making
podcasts.
And
I get to be famous and be the face of Bigger Pockets. Yeah. Oh, you should complain some more.
The face of I'm Logo Man. I knew he looked like me, our little logo guy.
All right,
moving on.
Enough.
All right, moving on.
We're gonna wrap this thing up, guys. Listen, so that's who Brandon is. That's who I am. That's what Bigger Pockets is. That's what this show is all about. So with that, we've got 3 quick favors that we want to ask you. 1, leave us a rating and review in iTunes.
Is that 2 or 1? Because that's a rating and review, right?
You know what?
So technically, we got 4 things.
You know what? Just go on. Number 2.
All right. Number 2 is or number 3, depending on how you look at it. Number 2/3 is subscribe to this podcast in iTunes. Both those things, or all 3 of those things, reviews, ratings, subscriptions, help new people find the show. So today we want to get hundreds within the first 2 weeks of this podcast coming out. So thousands. Yeah. And over the course of the next year, I want to hit 2,000 by next year. So make sure right now, take a second, go over and leave us an honest rating and review in iTunes. And I will give you a big bear hug next time we hang out, which might be a little while, but who knows?
Wow. So you've just committed yourself to bear hugging every fan who's left a review.
And I really will. You meet me at I'm going to when I go around the country, go to Bigger Pockets meetups and stuff, which I do occasionally. If you're there, be like, hey, I left you a rating and review. Bear hug.
Oh boy, here it goes.
Watch out.
All right, guys. Number 3, tell your friends or family about this show. If you know people who are looking for help in real estate, not just investors, just in general, people who need help with real estate, tell them to check us out. Ask BP Podcast. Definitely spread the word.
Was that your cell phone going off?
That was
during the middle of a podcast recording.
I'm the boss, man. I mean, don't give me any.
Look. This right here is called putting your phone on vibrate. And when you do that before an important number 1 most important podcast of your life, it's a pretty good thing.
I apologize to everybody who was offended by the beep. You guys all turned and looked to see if it was your phone.
They did. Every single person. Yep,
so,
every person.
It's all gravy. All right, guys. Every single one of our shows, we want to end with a quote to keep you motivated through the day. So today's quote comes from Mark Twain, who said...
Who's Mark Twain? Just kidding.
Oh, you need help. All right. Mark Twain quote, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover.
I acted that out for those people who are listening to this podcast rather than watching it. Check it out on YouTube. I acted that entire quote out. I'm known for my acting skills.
Don't watch it.
I'm well known for my amazing.
They're never going to watch again.
In high school I played
Pippi Longstockings.
No, but better. Oh, who was I? Okay, it was the Wizard of Oz, and I was Dorothy's uncle. Is that who she lived with?
Something like that.
Yeah, and I had to say this one line. I had to say, "We've got to pick up a parcel of lumber." From something. That was my line. And I could not say it right. And I screwed up I would say lumber of parcel every single time and then pee my pants. Okay. But yeah, anyway.
There's an image that's been molded into our brains. Thank you. No All right. Well, that was a deep quote from Mark Twain.
Deep.
You guys, thank you for listening. Remember one thing. In pursuit of your dreams, don't just learn, but please get out there, take action. For this, Bigger Pockets podcast. This is the Ask BP podcast. So we're going to both sign off. I'm Josh Dorkin.
I'm Brandon Turner. Signing off.
You've just heard another episode of the Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the Bigger Pockets forum by using hashtag AskBP. And for more incredible real estate investing tools and education, including a free download of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, head over to BiggerPockets.com and sign up for your free account today. We'll see you on the next show.